I'm going to get there. I just have so many plans I have to arrange before this weekend.
But look, we have a new AD, recruits are dropping. There is so much to talk about on this show.
You know what? You're right. Sports Scene starts now. Good afternoon and welcome to Sports Scene. I'm Cambry Guest.
And I'm Jillian Carroll. The Trojans defeated the Arizona State Sun Devils 31-26 this weekend in Tempe, securing their second road win of the season. USC's dynamic offense was powered by two freshman players, quarterback Kedon Slovis and running back Keenan Christian.
The Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Week, Kedon Slovis, threw a career-best 432 yards, putting up 4 touchdowns in the first quarter alone. Freshman Player of the Week, Keenan Christian, has quickly asserted himself as a key playmaker for the USC offense, with his first career start being against ASU.
He had 62 yards on 20 carries and proved that running backs do have hands, with 82 yards on 4 catches and 2 touchdowns off passes by Slovis. The game brings us to USC to 5-2 in the Pac-12, making the Trojans eligible for bowl play after missing out on it last season.
The next 2 games will not only determine the Trojans' slot for bowl games, but the future of the program. On Monday, 4-star tight end Jack Yeri announced his plans to decommit from USC and reopen his recruitment. The California native is rated the nation's number 9 tight end and was committed to USC since March. With the loss of Yeri, this decommitment hits especially hard after the Trojans lost 5-star quarterback Bryce Young to Alabama in September.
The Trojans' 2020 recruiting class is now ranked 11th in the Pac-12 and 76th in the nation. Will the Trojans be able to fill the holes in the 2020 recruiting class? That's going to bring us into our round table. We have Daniel Huynh and Nick Kaufman joining us today.
Thanks for having us.
All right, so let's get into the first question. What does USC need to change in this recruiting process?
There have been scandals plaguing USC the past year, but the thing is the Trojans aren't winning. The only way to solve this in the short term, in my opinion, is to hire a coach that's a proven winner and is relevant on the national stage.
I think the Trojans just need a culture change all around the football program itself. You look at it, USC really hasn't had many top draft prospects coming out. You look at this past draft, there was no USC player taken in the first round. And I think when you come to USC, one of the first things you want to see is that you're going to be drafted and have a future in the NFL. So I think the football program itself needs just a new culture, get back to the old school USC ground and pound offense with a stifling defense, and I think it starts from there.
I mean, Nick, I say I kind of agree with you, but the flex out is only going to follow the flex in, and that's where Daniel has it right. I mean, what you need is a coach that can recruit players and keep them. Clay's really great about going to the recruits, very personable guy, going to those hometown visits and bringing them here. But once USC has those recruits, they aren't sticking around. And that's where you need a coach that's going to bring in players on a national level where it's, I want to come and play for this coach, not for the team.
But I think the brand USC itself, just if you build the culture around it, then the brand USC will attract people on its own. And I think it's lost at the last couple of years with Clay Helton at the helm because they really haven't had an identity since Clay Helton's come in charge. I know this year the air raid offense has sort of taken over, so maybe we'll see that coming in the future. But as for the time that Clay Helton's been in charge, there hasn't really been a true DNA, a true statement or style of football that USC has been known for. And I think it starts there.
Look, I'm agreeing with honestly what all of you guys are saying. I think the culture change is a big deal, but I think it starts with the coach. The coach is the driving force for these culture changes and for what's going on the team from players and staff on up. So, you know what? We're talking culture change. We're talking coach changes. None of that's going to change by this weekend. So, USC has Cal this weekend. Who's taking home the weekender?
Both of these teams are even offensively and defensively, but it's going to come down to quarterback play. Chase Garbers has been out for pretty much this whole season. I think Kedon is coming off a 4-touchdown game. That alone, that's going to pull the Trojans into victory.
Now, Daniel, he's coming off a 4-touchdown game with all 4 touchdowns being in the first quarter of play. What needs to happen, I think USC definitely capable of taking this game as long as they can figure out how to be a team that can play all 4 quarters and not drop off after the first half. But really, you saw what USC is capable of in that first quarter whenever the offense is working together and where there is that flow. As long as that translates into all 4 quarters of this next game, I think there's no doubt that USC will take home this win.
I think USC is going to win this game, but it's going to be very close. I think a lot closer than everyone else thinks. You look at Cal, they're getting Chase Garbers back, their quarterback who got injured with a shoulder injury in September. He's a very efficient quarterback who's able to execute their offensive system perfectly. Cal's a very, very strong defensive team. Their linebacker, Evan Weaver, is one of the top in the country. So you look at this Cal roster, it's a sneaky good team that really, if they come together and play well, and USC isn't on their A game, if USC plays like they did in quarters 2, 3, and 4 against Arizona State, it'll be a long day for the Trojans. But I do think USC, in the end, has the advantage in talent and in skill on both sides of the ball. And I think at the end of the day, the Trojans will win a very tight one at Cal.
I completely see what you're saying. I agree. If they don't come out the gate strong, I don't know what we
I don't know if it's coming out the gate. It's can you close the gate?
Can they get to the finish line? That's what they need.
That's the real question.
Oh, yeah. But, all right, that's going to wrap up our round table. Let's check in with Michael Loy to see where USC will end up come December.
USC is now officially bowl eligible after the Trojans' victory against Arizona State last Saturday. USC has 2 games left on the season. With a middling Pac-12, USC has a variety of bowl options. Let's take a look at where USC can go bowling at the end of December. USC's most likely postseason trip is to San Antonio, Texas, where the Trojans would play in the Valero Alamo Bowl on December 31st against a team from the Big 12 Conference. Current projections pit USC against Baylor or Texas in that match. A match against Texas would be USC's 3rd straight year playing against the Longhorns. USC won the first match in double overtime and was blown out in the second match. However, USC is one of 3 Pac-12 schools who has never made an appearance at the Alamo Bowl. Sports Illustrated projects USC dropping one of its games to Cal or UCLA, giving them a 7-5 finish, which would likely give USC a Holiday Bowl appearance on December 27th against the Michigan Wolverines. USC would get another shot at Michigan head coach Jim Harbaugh, who owned a 3-1 record over the Trojans during his time at Stanford. All hope for a Pac-12 championship is not over for the Trojans. If USC wins out and Utah is able to drop one of its games against UCLA, Arizona, or Colorado, the Trojans would likely get a rematch against the Ducks in a Pac-12 championship match. However, 2 losses for the Trojans would send the team to the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl against an opponent from the Atlantic Coast Conference. Current projections place Virginia or Florida State in the Sun Bowl. USC's postseason bowl options will give the team one more chance to improve its young team against a quality opponent. Tyler, what's going on there with basketball?
Thanks, Michael. Men's hoops cashed in on another win last night. The Trojans defeated South Dakota State 84-66, and not just one, but 2 players reached and passed 1,000 career points last night. Last week was all about the freshmen, but Enfield is really benefiting from how deep this roster is, because last night the seniors were the real show. Seniors Nick Rakocevic and Jonah Matthews officially have over 1,000 career points. Rakocevic was on fire last night. He had 27 on the night with 16 rebounds, and that senior leader thing, we got to see a lot out of him last night. Matthews got 14, and now both of these guys have passed 1,000 in just the beginning of their final season here. Let's see how they feel about it.
A moment for both of us. We came here together. I've known him forever since I was 16, so just to have it on the same night is something special to both of us, I think.
Yeah, just being in that column with people who have done a lot in this program, just to be a part of that list is truly a blessing. And sometimes, it's not always going to be, my night or Jonah's night. We have a very deep roster, and it's going to be other people's night.
The Trojans saw better production in the second period again. They improved from last week in limiting the number of turnovers, got 28 off of turnovers and 32 in the paint. Something worth mentioning, Jonah Matthews didn't start again because he was late to class, and while his leadership is evident on the court, I don't know, maybe we want to start there so that way we can see how his production improves given the ability to start. USC heads to Nevada for their next matchup on Saturday. The Trojans, who lost last season, will be heading into that game at 3-0. Michael, over to you.
Look out, Trojans, because women's soccer is a number 2 seed in the NCAA tournament. After finishing off the last game of the season at UCLA, they will play against the Cal State Fullerton in the first round. The Titans are definitely a strong team with an overall 14-2-4 score for its conference season. That puts the Titans at an equal amount of wins as the Trojans. The Trojans will have to watch out for the Titans' strong offensive line, especially forwards Atlanta Primus and Maddie Bennett. The Titans have an overall higher amount of goals, with Bennett scoring 12 goals and Primus with 11 goals this season. Midfielder Haley Brown may be a tipping point for the Titans to win, as she's an all-rounder that has a record of 7 goals and 9 assists this season. The women of Troy will have to rely on top scorers Tara McKeon and Penelope Hawking to even the score, especially against the Titans' strong offense. The women's soccer team will have to boost up the defensive line, which has allowed more than just a few stray balls into the goal line. The Trojans will definitely have a hard time overcoming the Titans' offense. The Trojans are set to square off against Cal State Fullerton this Saturday on McAllister Field. Be sure to catch the first NCAA tournament of the game for the season. Well, earlier today, Faith had the opportunity to sit down with a leader on the water polo team.
So you're coming off a huge win over UCLA just on Saturday.
Yep.
Obviously a huge rival, but they're also #1 in the NCAA. So what was that like?
It's been weird this season because obviously we were NCAA champions last year, and coming into this season, it was like, all right, we are the best ones from the last year, but obviously some other teams are always good, like Stanford, Cal, UCLA. And it's not a surprise they were over there, they were #1. But for us, there was just another motivation to prove them who actually is #1, that we do believe we are still the best team, but they're really good, so they were at #1 with a reason.
And you're one of 3 seniors on the team.
Yeah.
So you've seen this team grow a lot. And so what's it like being a leader out there?
It's special. You have an opportunity to lead a great group of guys, you know, and a diverse group of guys as well. And you gotta try and keep them all on the same page, try to lead them, and be coach's voice in the locker room. It takes time to lead, it takes time to become one, and some other guys on the team as well are becoming one, so I think we're going to have a great group of leaders after a few of us leave this season, and I think we're in good hands, you know.
So now you guys are heading into Cal this weekend. Definitely, as you mentioned, a tough opponent.
Yep.
So what are you guys doing to prepare?
Start from the basics. Whatever they do, our coaches did a great job analyzing them and to see what they're doing, what their tendencies are. So from the basics, from defense, offense, their extra 6-on-5, our 5-on-6, whatever they do, we gotta take every single segment of their game really seriously, and keep watching video, you know, and by watching a video you learn the most, I would say. But you know, our coaches are doing a great job for preparing us and telling us what can we face with, and honestly, I think we'll be fine, and we're doing a good job. We always start from defense. Defense is the best, and defense is the most important part of our game, and that's how we win the games.
And so you're a senior. You're wrapping up your career here at USC, this chapter of your life. What's next for you?
I would like to play professional, so I think so I'm graduating in December, which is going to be a semester early, so I'm not staying here for spring semester. In December 19th, I think I'm leaving or something like that, and I'm going home. Home is the first destination, and after I settle home, see where the opportunities are and where I could play, I think after I'm going to decide what's my next move, but definitely keep playing water polo for some time.
Of course. Well, thank you so much, Marin, for joining me.
Thank you for having me, really.
You can catch him and the men's water polo team playing Cal this Saturday. Thank you.
ASU was a wild first quarter for the Trojans. Check this play out.
And that's our play of the game. Amon-Ra St. Brown with the 95-yard touchdown against Arizona State.
Cambria, looks like you're a little shaky there with the camera.
Look, I'm not going to lie. I have to call myself out. I was the one filming that clip that you saw, and I just got too excited. It was such a great play, 95 yards. I got a little excited, got a little shaky. Was kind of rooting for the Trojans a little bit, but, you know, still some quality film. Overall, a really exciting play.
All right, that's awesome. That's all we have for our show today. I'm Jillian Carroll.
And I'm Cambry Guest. Be sure to follow us on Twitter and Instagram at ANN Media Sports and like us on Facebook at annenbergmedia.com. We'll see you next week.